Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. Hopefully, this is several sessions you're in now on our sessions. Today, we're going to have Khan Academy and Khanmigo for Science and Social Studies educators. So, if you're in the chat, please go ahead and share where you are from and what subject you teach. My name is Lee Arnold. I'm part of the Ed Tech team, and we are so happy to have you here this afternoon. Couple housekeeping rules. Please use the chat box to communicate. We have Noelle and Jennifer there. They're with the little wrench. Those are our moderators. They are more than happy to help you answer any questions or share great ideas throughout our session. If you haven't already done so, like and subscribe to our channel. A lot of questions come up. When can I get the recording? At the end, if you've subscribed to our channel, it will be there. We have a jam-packed day for our agenda. There's still another session later today, Canva for student use. If you miss it because you're in this wonderful session, you can always check back on our Palm Beach County's website for our Ed Tech and our portal to get the schedule. Or if, again, you subscribe to our channel, you'll have all the recordings there. And without further ado, I would like to bring up Tamsin Storn from Khan Academy. She is going to be presenting the session today. And take it away, Tamsin.
Thank you, Lee. Welcome, everyone. This is our Khan Academy and Khanmigo for Science and Social Studies. Oops, that was way too fast. As she said, I am Tamsin, your professional learning specialist. And supporting Palm Beach County, we also have Elizabeth Hadley, your district success manager. And helping in the chat today, we have Jennifer, our professional learning specialist with Khan Academy. Just for your reference, these are your fabulous team members from the Ed Tech Department and Palm Beach County Schools supporting you by region. So take note if you need any support, they are there to help. We're going to focus on Khan Academy courses, assigning Khan Academy course content, monitoring progress, and using Khanmigo teacher tools in conjunction with Khan Academy course content, as well as Khanmigo learner activities that all support state standards. Just a brief overview, Khan Academy and Khanmigo are all in one. So Khan Academy is the platform that has been there with coursework, providing a free education to anyone, anywhere. And Khanmigo is nothing separate. It is embedded within the Khan Academy platform as a AI instructional tool supporting teachers with their teaching and helping learners with their learning, and especially focusing on closing in those learning gaps. Just an overview of what Khanmigo can do. Khanmigo is helping teachers with these teacher tools, which we're going to go over some of them today. And these are teacher tools that are not assignable within Khan Academy, but they're resources that you can create that are standards-based or create with Khan Academy content to then do with as you see fit, whether you want to print them or you want to upload them to Google Classroom or Google Drive. Those are your Khanmigo teacher tools. Over here, we have our Khanmigo for learners. These are learner activities to engage students in the learning process. We really hope that students will work with the AI chat to support them in their learning and help them with questions that they may not have felt comfortable asking, or questions that they have asked and still don't understand. So they have access to this Socratic tutor to work with them at home and anytime they are needing support. So first, I'm going to take a look at Khan Academy courses. Now, your classes when you're in your district, when you're in your district synced Khan Academy platform, are automatically rostered. So anytime you're using your Khan Academy platform, make sure you're using the blue, there's like a blue tile. This is your district synced classes. You'll never have to update it. Khan Academy and SIS sync automatically every night. And if you are in these and you see a little button over here that says add a course, you can add a course, but you don't have to add a course. So doing so can make it a little easier to assign content, and you can change courses at any time, but you don't have to. A little overview of what is in our courses. So we have, here's an example of Algebra 1, here's the title. We have units within the courses, and each unit covers specific topics with lessons in the units supporting the teaching, the concepts and skills. And then it's followed by, over here, practice lessons that students can do to get an assessment of how they are doing on the said skill. When you see these icons, you'll notice that the paper with the folded corner, those are your articles. The triangle is your videos, and the little pencil are all of your practice exercises, quizzes, unit tests, and course challenges. So to highlight some science course, We have a new course that was released, which is high school chemistry. So that is a newly released mastery-enabled course. And these are aligned to the next generation Sunshine States or science standards. And so that shows my age. And provides a comprehensive approach to chemistry that sets the stage for success. There's a rich set of learning resources, brand new videos, articles, and practice exercises for your students. And you'll also see different categories that we have for science as well when you're exploring the different courses. Up next, we have a arts and humanities section, as well as some partner courses. So you'll find some art history and natural history and some different courses that you could use in your history classes as support, as well as more general US history and world history courses here. I do want to also point out our Constitution 101 is a newly launched, it launched on Constitution Day this year for students who are in need of support with that content. I'm not sure if everybody has seen this or not, but in Blender for School District of Palm Beach County, you have the following courses that have been provided, like these crosswalks, I guess you could say, of Khan Academy content that aligns with your already district's synced scope and sequence. So we had a group of teachers over the summer through the teaching and learning department that came in and kind of did this crosswalk so that you can find out what resources correlate and don't have to work on doing that yourself. So if you do teach any of these subjects, do know that these are out there in your Blender for you to access. I'll show you kind of what one looks like. I'll go into 7th grade science. Most of them all follow this kind of format. So you'll have here your School District of Palm Beach County unit. This is Unit 1, Nature of Science. Then to the right, you're going to have what Khan Academy unit topic goes with that. So they linked in Unit 1 Biology, which when you click on this, it will bring you to that in Khan Academy. They give you your Khan resource name. If so, like in here, the scientific method is the name of one of the resources in here. And then they have suggestions for Khanmigo. So if it's a teacher move, these are things that you can make in the teacher tools, discussion prompts, informational text, real world context. These are the teacher tools. If you see anything with student move, these are the learner activities where they have chat with historical figure and word safari. So these are a great resource for those of you who teach these particular classes. And you're all located in Blender. All right, so I'm going to go into my platform and kind of give you a brief overview of the platform and how we can assign content from one of these courses, okay? So when you're logged in, if you ever get lost in the Khan Academy world, you can always click on the logo at the top and it'll bring you right back to your teacher homepage. Again, you can see our district synced courses. Then this is the title of the class that you can click on to get into your data. And here you'll see the different courses that are added to that particular district synced class. If you click on the sleeping snowman and go to settings, you are able to edit the different courses by clicking here that are assigned to that particular class. When you are in this teacher dashboard, Khanmigo is at the top. And if you click this drop down, you're going to find the learner activities, the teacher tools, and documents for anything you've created. You are also able to access Khanmigo down here at the bottom and chat with Khanmigo about anything that you would need to get support for within the platform. Do note that you have student mode toggle on and off up here. So if you want to interact as if you were a student with Khanmigo, make sure you're toggling the student mode on. This is anytime teachers will see a chat. They see this anytime that they open a chat. So make sure you be aware of that toggle. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go into one of my courses. So I'm going to go down to this one. And don't worry about what shows up here. This is just where I last left off. What you really want to look at is your menu on the left. So I want to give you a quick overview of that. You have your class name up here. So if I'm looking at assignment scores and I don't want to go back to that home page, I can just click here and I can toggle between my different classes and look at all my assignment scores right from this page. I'm also going to point out that you have these drop-down carrots. So the first tool you have is your activity overview. And this is going to give you an overview of what your students are doing in the Khan Academy platform. So that in any course whatsoever, right? You can change the time frame that you want to do your search for or custom range as well. And then there's this button here that says only show my class's courses. What that's going to do is only show you courses in which you've added to your class. So I'll show you here. These are courses in this class. So when you click on only show my class's courses, you're only going to get data on your student that's worked on the courses in your class. If you uncheck that, you will then see data here where it says other that may include work spent outside of your course or skill area that you have designated for your students. So you can kind of get that information if you want, or you can turn that off. There is a breakdown of the skills that they worked on. So we have what's called mastery enabled courses. Not all of our courses are mastery enabled, but the ones that are have this mastery enabled color coding scheme, right? So what that does is it tells you kind of an overview of where the students are at. So if it's this dark brown, it's attempted. So students tried it, but they didn't do very well. They got less than 70%, or they got less than 70% correct. If they're familiar, they got between 70 and 90, or 70 and 99% correct. And if they're proficient, they got 100% correct, but they're only doing that within that specific skill set. Mastered means that they got it all correct outside of just focusing on skills, whether they're doing a unit test or a course challenge. So these are kind of the breakdown of the levels that students can achieve in here. We also can click on skills, and you're able to toggle between the courses that you picked for this particular class. So again, some people might not have courses, or you might have multiple, but that's why you have the option to put multiple courses in here so that you're able to toggle between them based on what you need and what you're looking at with your students. When you're in these courses, you can look at what your students have been working on by each unit, and it narrows it down into the skills, and you can keep narrowing it down to specifically exactly what groups of students are doing what. So you can see here, they've already grouped this for me, skills by attempted, familiar, proficient, and mastered. So there's your small groups. And you can even assign the skill right from this page. So a lot of information in our reports. And the last one on the top is mastery. So this is going to show for this particular course, right? So if I want to go to grammar, I would toggle between, and it shows percent mastery that my students have in that particular course. So here we've got these students, it goes from least to greatest of mastery, and you can show the percentage. And you can scroll down and you can get even more detailed mastery based on units in that particular course. So that's a little overview of our activity reports. And then you have mastery goals. And if you click over here, you're going to be able to assign and progress monitor students' mastery goals. And where I'm going to focus on today is under assignments. When you go under assignments, you can click on assign. And this is where we can assign content to students. So you'll notice for this particular class, when I toggle here, these are all the classes that have been assigned to this particular class. If I go into, so I would say I was doing the 7th grade comprehensive science, and I was going into this resource, I'm going to click on this link to Intro to Biology that it recommended. It's going to give me this whole course. And just like we showed you earlier, you have your different units, right? And then you have your activities within each unit and your assignments to either practice or quiz. In the resource, it says the scientific method. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to look for, here it is, the scientific method. So it's got a video and an article as well as practice. So if I wanted to, I could click on this video and then click on this assign button right here from the actual video in the course. But in order to assign all of the things, right, that we had this video, this article, and this practice, you have to do one at a time. If you had this in your courses, right, listed, you could do multiple things at a time. So clearly it's really a preference, whichever you prefer. Okay, so I kind of want to show you how you can use this resource for that purpose. Another thing that's nice, and my Khan Academy is having a moment. So say I go to this scientific method, and it doesn't really tell me, it just says it's from this biology archive. It doesn't really tell me exactly too much information about it. I'm going to click on Khanmigo over here on the side. And I'm going to make sure I'm in teacher mode. And I'm going to ask Khanmigo, what grade level is this at? Okay, so now it's telling me that this article is aimed at high school students and it covers concepts in biology. However, it can be adapted for middle school students with some simplification. So I'm going to say, help me simplify this for my middle school 7th grade students. So I'm showing you a way that you can still use these resources that are out there, but have Khanmigo to help you differentiate it to make it fit your needs. It's been a long day of demoing this. There we go. So here's some bullet point outline of how you might explain this to your 7th grade students, which again is taking this article that was recommended from the Blender resource and then giving you some information on how you would like to break this down. Another thing you can do is you can always copy and paste, right? So we can copy this article. Just going to go up to here. And I'm going to go into my teacher tools and I'm going to paste it in. Before I do that, though, I do want to show you, you can do things up here with this particular article and not have to go into your teacher tools. But because this is written at a high school level, I'm going to go into the tools myself and paste this into the leveler so that I'm able to actually differentiate it to meet my needs before I start making lesson plans around it. So I went to my teacher tools by clicking on Khanmigo and teacher tools, and I'm going to condense it down to the differentiate so that I can get to my leveler. So again, we don't ever want to adjust the complexity of a given text based on, because our kids are reading at a certain grade level or not reading at par. We always want to make sure they're getting access to the rigor of the text that is for their grade level. But because this is a high school text that we're using for our middle school students, then it is appropriate to level it accordingly. So I just pasted in that long article here. And I already forgot what the title was. I think it was Scientific Method. Let's see. I'm going to put that here, if I can spell. And then it says new reading level, and I'm going to select 7th grade because that here is the 7th grade science that we were looking at. All right. So now here's our introduction, and you could format this if you wanted to while you're in here. When scientists start an investigation, blah, blah, blah. It's going to talk about the scientific method, and it's going to have this same article, but written as meant for a 7th grade student. The cool thing is that you can go in here and you can adjust this at however you want, right? So if I don't like this introduction, I can highlight the introduction and I can ask Khanmigo to just try something different. Maybe just reword this a little bit better. It's kind of hard to tell exactly what was reworded, especially because it was really fast and I don't have that kind of a memory. So if you click on Khanmigo over here on the side, luckily Khanmigo keeps a tab of what we're doing because I can't. And it says, I've replaced this text. So now it shows me what was there first with, and tells me what now I can see is there with this here. So I can see if I like that or not. I can copy that text and put it into here. It already did it, but I could if I wanted to. Another thing you can do is you can translate this into another language. So say you want to give this to your students and they have come here and they're a newcomer. You can translate this into Spanish, Portuguese, Hindi, or English, which it already is in English. Khanmigo is fluent in those languages. But what that means is that Khanmigo is going to have, we can guarantee you're going to get a correct translation. Khanmigo speaks every language. We just can't say that it's going, you might see errors. They can't say that it's going to be perfect because Khanmigo is not fluent in all of the other ones. But if you have newcomers with some language skills in their native language, this will be very, very helpful for them. All right. So now that we have this text, right, I can go in here and I can ask Khanmigo to do some things with this text. I could say, make a quiz, but it's gonna build that out over here. And I'm not a big fan of copying and pasting over here sometimes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this to my Google Drive. So I have access to this article that I can put in my Google Classroom. But then I'm also going to copy it and I'm going to paste it into another tool. So if you have English language learners, or if you teach ESE students and they need a scaffold and you want to chunk that text, you can do the chunk text. I am going to go in here and I'm going to click on not discussion verbs, create questions generator. So there's two kind of tools that do kind of the same thing, but not really. The multiple choice quiz and the questions generator. But here's the difference. This questions generator is going to be give me questions based on a specific piece of content, like the text I copied. This multiple choice quiz is not based on a text. It's just based on a topic. So I want to go into questions generator. And remember, we're at the 7th grade level. I only want 5 questions, so Khanmigo doesn't have to work too hard. And I'm going to paste in the text that I just copied over, the one that was rewritten, and ask Khanmigo to generate some questions. The best part is Khanmigo gives you the answers. Love that. So now he has, what is the first step? These are all questions that go along with that text that I just pasted, which is pretty awesome. So when I'm in here, you can also do the same thing. So maybe I don't like this coral bleaching question, or maybe I don't really understand how might a marine biologist use, coral bleaching, maybe it's just something where are you going with this, Khanmigo? I can highlight it and click Ask Khanmigo and hit discuss this. What's going to happen, it's going to go quick, so make sure you pay attention, is that this is going to open and Khanmigo is going to give me a plethora of information on the intent behind this question. Ready? It's usually a little bit faster, but it's been a long day. Not for me. I'm fine. Khanmigo's struggling. There we go. So the highlighted question, how might a marine biologist, blah, 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 is asking students to apply their understanding of the method into a real-world scenario. This question is at the application level of Bloom's taxonomy, as it requires students to use their knowledge of the scientific method in a new context. It is well framed for a 7th grade student, encourages them. So it's giving you a lot of information just on the background and purpose behind that one question. So again, great things you can do within this platform. Now I'm going to I'm not going to have anything highlighted. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to ask Khanmigo to create sentence frames for my English language learners. And that's going to be based on all of these questions. What's nice is when Khanmigo does, it takes each question and it goes in that same order, right? So we have observation. A marine biologist might observe that coral reefs are blank. And now that I'm looking at it, what is happening to the coral? It looks like it's just doing that for this one question. So that's why it does have a note up here. You have to double check to make sure it's accurate because of things like this. It still thinks I'm discussing this other question up here. So I'm going to be a little bit more specific. Oops, I'm supposed to say tool, not to. Create sentence frames for each of the discussion questions you created in this tool. To be a little bit more specific and hope that I'm now going to, yes. So now you can see here, one, what is the first step? So I love that it takes the question and puts it over here. So I don't have to go back and forth going, wait, which one does this go to? Which one does this go to? It gives me the question, and now here's my sentence frame. And it did it for each one. And that's a good example, I guess, that I didn't mean for making sure you're very specific in your prompts. Now, I do have, if I can see if I can find it for you, a little prompting guide that I will share out. And this is just something to kind of help you while you're getting used to this, knowing what kind of things you can ask Khanmigo to do to help differentiate. So add scaffolds for your struggling learners, sentence frames, break it down into steps, simplify this. So these are a nice little tool that you can use when practicing to make sure you get the best differentiation possible for your students. All right, again, you have the same options to print it, save it as a PDF, export it to Microsoft Word. All of that is here. Now, all of that we just did came from me clicking on this one unit here, this link to the Khan Academy content, and choosing the one article that it was an article and a couple of things, but choosing the article they selected. So now I'm going to go into your science. Let me go back. Sorry, that was science. Let me go into some social studies examples. So let's go into world history for 10th grade. Okay. I don't know where you guys are at. Let's just click on this one. Hope for the best. It doesn't give me any date. We're just going to go with it. I hope that's okay, since I can't really talk to people doing this way. So we have here world history, and we have unit 6, Mesoamerican and Indian civilization. I'm a math person. I don't know. But it has the link right here to your Khan Academy unit. So I'm going to click on it, open it up. And it says world history. It doesn't really tell me, like I said, exactly what grade level this is written for. And in here, it told us to click on lesson 8, Ancient Americas. Oops. Lesson 8. Or do they mean unit 8? Can't be unit 8. Ancient Americas. I'm not seeing it. But somewhere in here, let's see what else they got. Lesson 2. Okay, Mesoamerica right here. So I can click on this lesson. And you're going to see on the left, we have an article. We have 4 articles. So that's all we're getting for this particular unit, 4 different articles. So I'm going to ask Khanmigo to see what grade level this is at. To high school level. It includes complex historical right, which is great because we're in world history, which according to this is for 10th grade. But maybe I need to get some scaffolds for students that might be struggling, right? Maybe I have some inclusion students that I need to make sure they're getting their accommodations met. So I'm going to ask Khanmigo just for this article, provide scaffolds for my students. And so it says create a glossary of key terms, and it gives me some examples. Offers a graphic organizer and also chunking the text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this out, and I have all these other tools up here. So I can make a lesson plan, an exit ticket, or a lesson hook. We have a lot of options that we could do with just this article. So I'm going to say, let's get an exit ticket, something they can do based on this article. What that does by going this way is it already takes it and puts it in this information for you. But if you notice, it put it as a college level. So since these are 10th graders, I am going to change that to 10th grade to make sure this is geared toward the level of my students. And now it's going to say, what is one aspect of Mesoamerican culture or art that you found most intriguing and why? Please be specific in your response. You can highlight this and ask Khanmigo to make changes. I'm going to say, make this have more steps, right? I want more steps. I want more things they have to do in this exit ticket. So now we have provided a specific example or detail to support your explanation, explain why it captured your interest, and identify one aspect that you found most intriguing. So again, a lot of different things you can do in here while you're chatting. And don't worry, Khanmigo has everything you guys have talked about saved over here in a chat. Usually the next question goes, where can I get all of these things? So if I go here, this is where we were in all of our teacher tools. Again, I was at Khanmigo and teacher tools. Then you're going to be on this landing page. If you click on my documents, this is going to have everything that you have created. Here is that exit ticket we just created. Here's the questions based on the 7th grade revision of the scientific method article. Over to the right, you have a sleeping snowman next to each one. So if you want to remove one, you can, it'll delete it. Or a new feature, you can click share. What this does, it gives you a copy, a link that you can copy and send to other teachers, maybe another PLC group, whoever you want to share it with. It'll open in the Khan Academy platform for them when they click on the link. The only difference is up here, it'll say view only for them. And they'll have these options, right? But they can't, that's all they get. If they want, they have another option to make a copy. Then they can go in and start making it tailored to their students' specific needs. So if someone made a quiz and you want to share it, but they want to tweak it to fit what they need, they have that option in the My Documents section under Share. All right. So now I'm going to go back home. Well, home in Khan Academy world. And I want to show you another tool that we at Khan Academy have put together to kind of offer some suggestions of how you can use our content if you aren't one of the courses that has this linked progression. Now, for middle school classes for history, we have the World History Project Origins to Present. What that is, if you click here in your Explore, that is the name. There we go. Here we go. It is the name. So anything in green is the name of the course in Khan Academy, right? But the thing is, I put a note here. This is at the high school level. So that's why I wanted to show you all of the things to make this obviously be a relevant resource, all the things you can do with the content that is out there to make sure it's tailored to the level that you need it to be at for your students. For example, if this was a 6th grade world history class. There are other resources, ancient art and Asian art, that have some stuff that might be of use. 7th grade civics, again, look for units that align with your content from the Constitution 101. And we have the U.S. history units 1 through 5 for 8th grade, which then continues in 11th grade when they finish units 5 through 11. So it's kind of like Palm Beach County has 8th grade doing U.S. history, the first 5 units in 8th grade, and then the second in 11th. And so we have it split up for you guys so you can see where each resource would fit with your scope and sequence. We do have a new AP College World History course that was released, and we even have some government and economics courses as well that you can utilize. To see any of these courses, you're going to click on this Explore tab at the top, and you are able to go into, so if it's economics, you will see the different ones. If you want to see more or look at them all on one page, you can click on See Economics, and now you're able to kind of take a look of not only what the title is, but what concepts, what units are within each of those courses. So maybe it's just a unit that you want to use, right? For arts and humanities, you click here and you have all of your different U.S. art and history and social studies classes, Constitution 101. And then we also have under partner courses, some of these other different art type courses that might be of benefit for your students. All right. The next thing I want to show you is the Khanmigo learner activities. So I'm going to go back into my account here at the home page. And we did world history. So let me get out of that and pick another one. What we got here? Hold on, let me go back. So we did, let's do maybe middle school science. Let's do 9-12 biology. See what we got here. And since we are in, not too far, in the end of October, beginning of November, I'm going to go here to the high school biology. Unit 4 DNA, the central dogma, is going to be, coincidentally, which it usually doesn't align that nicely, the Unit 4 in Khan Academy. So I'm going to open that up. And I'm going to go back here and look, and it talks about these different resources listed in Khan Academy. So you can see here, we have all of them on the side. So it depends on kind of where they linked it. If they didn't link it to the unit, it would look like this, right? So we had the unit 6, or they had it where it just linked to the actual article, and then you have all the same pieces over here. So again, let's find out what this is written at. Okay, high school biology, which is good. So I can go in here and I can make assignments and I can differentiate accordingly. So I'm going to show you first how to make an assignment. By clicking on the assign button, you have the same options as anywhere else when you make assignments. You can pick all of your classes if you're lucky enough that they all are the same, or you can pick whatever classes you need for that particular assignment. If you're only in one class, you are able to select no students and go in and say, I need these students only to work on this. This is great for small groups. So it's only going to be sent to them. And you're also able to see in the reports that it was only sent to them and not other kids. So you're not like, why didn't these students do this? Oh, it's because I didn't assign it to them. So it's a nice feature. And you click assign to your at the bottom. But what I'm going to show you today is how we can take some of these standards that are in your scope and sequence, and we're going to use them with Khanmigo learner activities. When you get to your learner activities homepage, you are going to see this toggle button again when you're here at the welcome sign. If you want to model this for your students, or if you want to interact as if you were a student, make sure if you're facing students with this, you toggle student mode on so Khanmigo will talk to you as a student. Khanmigo does give teachers the answer because you deserve the answer. We know you know the answer, but we feel that that's not fair to make you sit there and figure out the answer. No one has time for that. But when it comes to students, Khanmigo does not give the students the answer. So you want to make sure that's toggled on. So since we're doing science, we're going to go into the Tutor Me Math and Science. And this is an area where your students can go in at any time and just start chatting with Khanmigo and getting help, okay? But you also have the ability to assign this to your students. And when you do that, I highly recommend taking your actual scope and sequence and your standard and typing in that specific standard so that students are being shown an interaction with Khanmigo and having a conversation based on exactly the complexity of the standard. So here, this one was this here. I'm going to copy this because this is not the actual standard. Some of these do have the standard in and some do not. So I'm going to go to CPOMs and get the actual verbiage of this standard. So right here, and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it into the instructions, right? And this is all on DNA structure. So I'm going to title that DNA structure practice. Now, some people have said they leave it like this and it works out fine for them. I'm more of, as you saw in one of the last examples, I'm more of the person who wants to make sure that it's very specific. So the interaction between the student and Khanmigo is exactly what I want. So I'm going to kind of take this standard and tweak it a little bit to make it kind of a prompt for students because they're going to read it, but also telling Khanmigo exactly what, like kind of sneakily, right? Exactly what I want the interaction to look like. So I'm going to say chat with Khanmigo. Actually, no, we're going to quit. We're going to quiz. Have Khanmigo quiz you on the basic process of DNA replication and how it relates to the transmission and conservation of the genetic information. Remember, you are preparing for a quiz on this tomorrow or next week or something, right? So it reminds the students, but it also tells Khanmigo like, hey, because we're quizzing them on this, the students should have some sort of an understanding or background knowledge because we have been teaching it, right? If I said chat with Khanmigo or have Khanmigo introduce you to something, then Khanmigo is going to understand like, okay, they don't know this yet. So I got to take a different approach. So again, same ways of putting this in. You have different options that you can give it to different students, okay? And as if you did any other type of assignment. And then I'm going to click assign. And it's going to go. There it goes. Okay. Up here, you're going to have a little thing that says it's been assigned. I can click on go to my dashboard to bring me to my reporting area. So I'm going to go into Wilkerson, which is one of the classes I assigned it to. It is not a mastery goal. It was an assignment. So under assignments, click on scores. Maybe it's not in one of those classes. Why don't I see it? Sometimes they go to the end because there's a lot of people in these accounts. So let me see if I can find it. Don't see it. Let me go under manage. That might be easier. Let's try. And we're going to put in due within the past 7 days to narrow it down a little bit. Nope. It's due tomorrow. Where did you go? Here we go. So I had to change the date to get it. But when you don't have a bunch of people in your entire company all making assignments at one time in a demo account, you won't have that problem. It'll just show up here, I promise. When you get here, you're going to see, again, we're under manage. You're going to see the title of what we did, and you're also going to see how many students have completed it. If you click the title, you are going to get a new page that opened up, and it's going to give you, and it's going to tell you right here, a simulation of what your students are going to see on this assignment. Khanmigo is going to treat you like a student here, but you can't turn it in because you're the teacher, okay? If you scroll up like this, from this point down is exactly what it looks like for a student. Tells them what assignment the class is for, the title that we picked, the due date, and here is that prompt we put in. Have Khanmigo quiz you on. Remember, you're preparing for a quiz. Students are going to click this, I'm ready. And now they're going to have this dialogue back and forth with Khanmigo about that standard that we selected. I'm just going to pretend I'm a student. Okay, so Ken says, so it's going to take what I put and it's going to kind of be that tutor, like genes are segments of DNA. Let's think about smaller parts that make up DNA. What are the molecules that form from the rungs and slides of the DNA ladder? Right, so I'm just going to keep being a student, and I want you to see how Khanmigo is going to continue to meet the student where they're at and support them. Cells contain DNA, but let's focus on the smaller components. What are the molecules called that make up the DNA structure? So you can see here that it's a conversation. Of course, Khanmigo is expecting students to have some of this knowledge because they are reviewing for a quiz, but even if they don't, Khanmigo is going to meet them where they're at and continue to scaffold until they get to the student to where the rigor of the standard is. So I wanted to show you that. Over here, we just clicked on this. Over here is where you can click on this to open up a pop-up that shows you all of the students, when the date and time they completed it, how many times, because students can do it more than once, and if there's any student work in here, which it wouldn't be for this because it's not, they're not submitting any work. And if you need to edit this or make a copy to other classes, you can over here. I am going to give a quick little tip. If, say I put this, remember I was struggling to find what other classes I put it in. Say I put this in only this class. I didn't select the other ones, and I wanted it in the other SAT prep. I can click the sleeping snowman, select make a copy, and I can add it to the other classes. But beware, the class that I'm currently in right now that I'm making a copy from is automatically checked. So if you don't uncheck that, right, because I wanted to add it to this class, if you don't uncheck that, it's going to duplicate that assignment for these students, and now they'll see it twice. So keep that in mind, and then you can click assign so that your other class now has it as well. When your students are done, you can look at their scores from here, or you can look at it from the score report. And you'll see here, this is the only assignment, DNA structure practice for the quiz. Remember I told you that if you didn't assign it to all students, you'd be able to tell. If I didn't assign it to all my students, there would not be a gray box. So any student who did not get this, if I was differentiating it for small groups, there would be no gray box. So you wouldn't be worried if there wasn't a score. So let me go into, oops, my other class. I have to get more data. So here is a good example. So on this exercise, these students have dark gray boxes because they were assigned that, they haven't done it yet. But over here for this assignment, these students don't have the dark gray box because it wasn't assigned to them. So it's a nice way of not being like, oh, shoot, did I not assign it to them because it was a small group? I can't remember, at least for me, because I can't remember. So you'll be able to notice that from this report. When students are doing any assignment that was assigned through Khanmigo Learner Activities, they're only going to be getting a check mark, which is the same for what they would get when they watch a video or if they were to interact in an article. The only time students get grading and get scores is when they're working on these practice assignments that have questions inside of Khan Academy. And that looks like, I think I had one here. Nope. These. So these practice exercises, anything with a pencil, whether it's a quiz or a unit test, those are the ones that they are going to be getting a score for. All right. So now the last thing I want to show you is we have what's called focus mode. If your students are working on, say, one of this right here, it says Algebra Foundations Unit Test. So if I click this, it'll show me exactly what the test looks like. This is the reporting, well, because the kids already answered it. So this shows what it looked like for the students and all of their responses. When you have a score like that, and your students are working on a unit test, Khanmigo automatically does not work. Students are not able to engage with Khanmigo during a quiz or test. But if you're having them do this kind of dialogue back and forth, and then you have them sent somewhere else, right? So say I have them have that dialogue, and then I want them to go and do something else with it. Maybe I created a teacher tool. You can turn Khanmigo into focus mode so that Khanmigo is not there to support your students if it's something you're using to assess them and you don't want them to use it. So that is a thing down here at the bottom that students can use. Again, you can do it if maybe there's just a small group of students that you don't want using Khanmigo because they're taking a makeup test, something like that. You can set it to focus mode and Khanmigo will go to sleep. You can do it for up to 4 hours, but I recommend only doing it for the time you need because then the focus mode will still be on for them when they go into their next class. So we went through a lot of information. We went through our learner activities. I am going to provide this is on the EdTech website, a prompting guide that kind of helps. Remember, we put have Khanmigo quiz you. So these are different things you can tell Khanmigo, have Khanmigo to introduce you when you're using these learner activities with your student or assigning them. Another thing that I really like that I can show you guys to get to is if you go into your printables. So I'm going to go back home here to resources. Under your printables, in student printables, there's a Khanmigo note taker. And what that's going to look like is it's going to make a copy of a Google Doc that you can edit. And it has a before the conversation, during the conversation, and an after the conversation that you can tailor. So with this one says, what are my questions for Khanmigo? You can delete that and you can say, this is my question that you are asking Khanmigo. And that way students have it here. And it kind of has a way of holding them accountable for that conversation while they're doing this interaction with Khanmigo. So that's a tool that's out there for you. Also, another tool that I like is under the engagement printables, and it's the Khanmigo prompts sentence frames. That one's going to look like these two pages. It's one pager, but I kind of zoomed in for you guys. So it's got a Tutor Me Math and Science, which is what we were in, as well as the Tutor Me Humanities. And it's really meant for students to have a resource to like, okay, I have this tool, I have this tutor, but what do I do? So maybe they can come in here and use these prompts and say to Khanmigo, how do I begin solving equations? What is a DNA and what is its function, right? They can start to have more engaging interactions with Khanmigo to better use the resource that's available to them. And lastly, thank you for your time. I know it has been a long day for some of us that have been doing these all day, but we have a dedicated email for Palm Beach County School District employees. So if you have any questions, you can email this email right here. And if you want to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, we have Florida focused only teachers and educators sharing tips and tricks for you guys here in these social media platforms.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tamsin. We appreciate you. I'm going to give it a second longer if anybody wanted to scan those QR codes that you see on the screen. Again, fabulous day. I'm hoping everyone got a lot out of this. So what I'm going to do is got a few more little tidbits of information. First, if you just realized that you could get points for recertification, well, I hope you go onto our edtech training.palmbeachschools.org website and look at the left-hand side where you see e-learning courses. You can actually go onto the e-learning course for this course or any other sessions you attended today and sign up to get that points, which hey, who doesn't need points, right? Next, I wanted to showcase the agenda just to reiterate one more time that, again, if you are interested in rewatching this session or watching some of the previous sessions that we had today, please like and subscribe to our channel. You can always locate them back here with the same URL. All right. I know Noelle is probably busy blowing up the chat right now please join our mailing list. We do share out some great training dates and trainings that we have availability for. If you've never visited our training website, you must. It's on the portal tile. And please follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter. And the last plug of the day, we are going to have our annual EdTech conference and technology conference, and we are looking for presenters. So if you have a great technology tool that you are rocking in your classroom and want to showcase that to other educators, why not present at our tech conference? So if you scan the QR code there, again, we are looking for those presenters, and that is an in-person. I know it hasn't been an in-person since prior to the COVID days, so we're very excited for this year's tech conference. And from all of us here at EdTech, we appreciate you being here today. Please have a great rest of your day, and we appreciate everyone attending. Bye, guys.